Today I will explain a romantic drama film released in 1999. Before moving ahead, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. The movie begins with a writer named Morris, who lives in London, and he is writing a book. He has given his book the title, This is a Diary of Hate. In that book, he is writing about those moments that deeply hurt him in his past, and he was writing about what he was going through in the present. The book begins in 1946 when Morris meets his friend Henry in heavy rain. That night, Henry was following his wife. According to her, she went on a walk, while Morris found it strange and thought, how can someone walk in such heavy rain? That's why Morris and Henry both understood that Sarah had lied to Henry. Morris then decided to go to Henry's house to support him, and then he started remembering that night. Morris thought he wouldn't have been writing his book if he hadn't met Henry that night. He was writing about his hatred while he didn't even know what he hated. After that, it was revealed that Henry and Sarah had been Morris's neighbors for 2 years. At that time, Sarah had an affair with Morris, and they used to get intimate. However, after spending time together and being in a relationship with Morris, one day suddenly, Sarah breaks her affair with Morris, which broke his heart, and he was deeply hurt. After his breakup with Sarah, Morris distanced himself from Henry and Sarah. Since that day, he has started hating both of them. After that day in 1946, Morris comes to Henry's house for the first time. When he does not see Sarah at her house, he understands that Sarah and Henry's relationship is not going well. Meanwhile, Henry didn't know that 2 years ago, his wife had an affair with his best friend, Morris. That's why, without hesitation, he started telling Morris about his feelings. Henry told him that he had been suspicious for many months that Sarah was cheating on him. He believed that his wife was having an affair with someone. That's why she stayed away from home all night long. He told Morris he wanted to hire a detective to find out the truth about Sarah, and he has found a detective. However, he didn't dare to talk to him. While talking, Henry asks Morris for help and asks him to pretend to be Sarah's boyfriend so that Morris could speak to that detective. Morris didn't want to do that because at the end of his affair, he started to hate Sarah. Because of his hatred, he agreed to do the job. Later, he talked to a detective named Paris, and he explained everything and asked him to follow Sarah. Paris started to investigate. Using his son Lance, he finds out that Sarah was going to meet a man by giving an excuse of a dentist. Later, one day Sarah called Morris to meet her. In between the mess, she wanted to talk to Morris about something important. Morris behaved rudely with her, and Sarah had to leave from there. After she left, Paris told Morris that Sarah went to a church after meeting him, where she cried for a long time. Paris also showed him a picture of Sarah with an unknown man, and after seeing the image, the jealousy within Morris started to increase. Paris went to a party held in Sarah's house to continue his investigation, and he hides in the corner and steals her diary from Sarah's room as soon as he can. He brought the diary to Morris, who read all the secrets of Sarah written in the diary, and then he started to see the whole truth in front of him. The diary also had the day written about that day. The day she ended her affair with Morris, that day Sarah had written that she would get out of Morris's life forever. She did that because, the same day when they were together, there was a bombing in the area, and that attack also affected Morris's building. Morris was so severely injured in the attack that his heartbeat stopped, and then Sarah realized that everything happening to Morris was probably the punishment for her affair. And then she prayed to God in tears that if he would spare Morris's life, she would end her affair forever. After saying that, she saw Morris in front of her, safe and sound, and after seeing Morris alive, she was happy. However, at the same time, she was disappointed because she would have to leave her love forever. When Morris saw Sarah worried at that time, Morris thought that she was not happy to see him alive, and when Sarah broke her relationship, Morris's thoughts turned into hatred. After reading the diary's truth, Morris realized that he was always thinking wrong about Sarah, and he understood that Sarah only loves Morris. She probably thought that she was sinning by loving someone else despite being married. That's why she prayed and ended her affair forever for Morris's safety. When Morris meets her, she tells him that she still loves him. However, she couldn't gather the courage to stay away from him. That's why every day, she goes to church and remembers her promise to God. She doesn't break her promise and stays away from Morris. Later, because Sarah regularly visits the church, Henry thought that Sarah had an affair with someone else, but in reality, she was visiting a church for prayer. After the whole truth came out, Morris and Sarah's relationship improved again, and their affair started again. They decided to spend their lives together, and later Sarah talked to Henry about divorcing him. Meanwhile, Henry had known by then that Sarah and Morris loved each other. He tried to stop Sarah with one last attempt, but Sarah refused to listen. She decides to break off her relationship with Henry, and Sarah starts to live happily with Morris. For a week, the two went away from the city. However, one night, while looking for them, Henry came to meet Morris and Sarah. He told Morris that Sarah had lung cancer, and she would not be able to live for many days. The truth completely broke Morris, and Henry was worried about losing Sarah, who was like him. He told Morris that he wanted them to stay with him in Sarah's last days. The three of them started living together in the same house. Morris began caring for Sarah during the day and Henry at night. However, despite a million attempts, Sarah's health continued to deteriorate for many months. Morris was still able to live a life entirely of such ban, while Henry could not even bear the thought of losing Sarah, and Morris promised to take care of him. Moreover, as soon as Morris's book was completed, Sarah died. Sarah's death had such an effect on him that he started hating Sarah because Sarah always trusted the church and left him, but he hated God the most because they snatched Sarah from him. Meanwhile, the priest didn't like his behavior, and Sarah used to go to meet him, but Morris didn't care. He kept caring for Henry because he regretted that he cheated on his friend. In the end, at Sarah's funeral, when Marcus comes to meet Morris, he tells him that he has never met a good person like Sarah. He also told him that something happened that forced him to think about God and Sarah. He told him that one day, Sarah had clashed with his son Lance, thinking that the boy was lost. Sarah gave him a coin, and she also touched the part of his face where there was a mark since childhood, but after touching the mark, that mark started to disappear slowly. Since that day, he and Lance have considered Sarah an angel, and Morris should also believe in that. Morris didn't understand what they told him. He hated Sarah, but he kept asking God for only one thing till the end of his life, for the safety of Sarah and Henry. With that, the movie ends here. Thank you for watching.